You're standing on the Aioi Bridge in Hiroshima, Japan, on the morning of August 6, 1945, at 8:14 a.m. The sun is already warm. The sky is clear and blue. Around you, a city of 350,000 people is waking up. Children walk to school. Workers head to factories. Streetcars rattle down the boulevards. Hiroshima has been largely spared from the bombing campaigns that devastated other Japanese cities. People wonder why, but they're grateful. You don't know it yet, but you're standing at ground zero. In 60 seconds, this bridge will become the aiming point for the first atomic bomb ever used against a city. And in the minutes, hours, and days that follow, you'll witness something the world has never seen before and pray it never sees again. And this isn't the story of the bomb. This is the story of the people who survived it. At 8:15 a.m., the Enola Gay releases a single bomb over Hiroshima. It falls for 43 seconds at 1,900 feet above the Aioi Bridge. It detonates. The temperature at the hypercenter reaches 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than the surface of the sun. A blinding flash of light floods the city. For a fraction of a second, people's shadows are burned into walls and pavement, the only trace they ever existed. The blast wave travels outward at nearly 1,000 miles per hour near the hypocenter, slowing as it spreads. Buildings within a half-mile radius are obliterated instantly. The shock wave flattens homes, schools, and hospitals across the city. Fires ignite everywhere. Within minutes, Hiroshima is burning. Who survives depends on seconds and inches. People inside concrete buildings have a chance. Those behind walls or in basements might live. But anyone in the open within a mile of the hypocenter, students on their way to school, workers at their posts, mothers shopping for food, most don't survive the initial blast. Of the city's buildings, 69% are destroyed and another 7% severely damaged. The city center simply ceases to exist. But survival isn't just about distance. Dr. Terufumi Sasaki, a young surgeon, is walking down a hospital corridor when the bomb detonates. He's thrown to the ground, but uninjured. When he stands, he realizes he's one of the few doctors left alive and able to work. The Red Cross hospital, where he works, is overwhelmed within hours. 90% of Hiroshima's doctors are dead or critically injured. 93% of nurses are gone. The city's entire medical infrastructure has been destroyed at the moment it's needed most. Survivors wander through streets they no longer recognize. Landmarks have vanished. The Aioi Bridge, miraculously, still stands. People converge there, looking for family, looking for help, looking for answers. No one has. Many are burned beyond recognition. Some walk with their arms held out in front of them, skin hanging from their hands like gloves. They're in shock, moving mechanically, asking for water. Mrs. Hatsuyo Nakamura, a widow with 3 young children, survives because her house is 1,350 meters from the hypocenter. The blast collapses her home, burying her and her children under debris. They dig themselves out and flee toward the river. Around them, fires are spreading. The entire city seems to be burning. She sees neighbors, friends, people she's known her whole life, injured, dying, searching for loved ones. She holds her children close and keeps moving. Within hours, fires converge into a massive firestorm. The heat is so intense, it creates its own weather system. Survivors describe a strange phenomenon in the hours after the blast. Black rain, radioactive ash and debris sucked up into the atmosphere by the firestorm falls back to Earth as thick, oily rain. People desperate for water open their mouths to catch it. They don't know it's poisoned. The first night is chaos. Thousands gather in parks, on riverbanks, anywhere away from the fires. Medical supplies are non-existent. Dr. Sasaki works for 3 days straight without sleep, treating an endless stream of patients with no medicine, no anesthesia, no help. He can't save most of them. He does what he can and moves to the next. Survivors later describe fields of the wounded lying in rows, waiting for treatment that never comes. And then the second wave begins. People who seemed to have survived start getting sick. Within days, symptoms appear that no one understands. Hair falls out in clumps, gums bleed, Purple spots appear on skin. People vomit blood. This is radiation sickness, and the doctors of 1945 have no idea how to treat it. 20 to 40 days after the blast, many who survived the initial destruction die in agony from an invisible poison. By the end of 1945, an estimated 140,000 people are dead. That's 40% of Hiroshima's population, gone in a moment, or in the agonizing weeks that followed. The survivors, roughly 200,000 people, are left with a new identity. Hibakusha. It means explosion-affected people. It's a label that will follow them for the rest of their lives. Being a hibakusha in post-war Japan carries a stigma. Many hide their status. Employers don't want to hire them. Potential marriage partners' families reject them, fearing genetic damage or bad luck. Some survivors are shunned by their own communities. The psychological trauma is immense. Survivors' guilt haunts them. Why did I live when my family died? Why did I survive when the person next to me didn't? The physical effects last decades. Radiation exposure increases cancer rates dramatically. Leukemia cases spike in survivors within a few years. Other cancers follow over decades. Children exposed to radiation in utero show higher rates of developmental problems. The hibakusha become the subjects of extensive medical studies, some voluntary, some not. For many survivors, it feels less like care and more like being treated as scientific specimens. But the hibakusha also become witnesses. As the only people on Earth who have experienced a nuclear attack, they carry a unique responsibility. In the decades after 1945, many dedicate their lives to sharing their stories. They speak at schools, at peace conferences, to world leaders. Their message is simple. This must never happen again. No one should experience what we experienced. Sunao Tsuboi was 20 years old when the bomb fell. He was 900 meters from the hypocenter. The blast threw him through the air. When he woke, his body was burned, his face unrecognizable. He spent 14 months in the hospital. He survived. For the next 75 years, he traveled the world, sharing his story. He met with presidents and prime ministers. He advocated for nuclear disarmament until his death in 2021 at age 96. He wanted people to understand nuclear weapons don't discriminate. They don't hit only military targets. They destroy everything and everyone. Today, in 2025, fewer than 100,000 hibakusha remain alive. Their average age is 86 years old. Every year, their numbers shrink. Soon, there will be no living witnesses to Hiroshima. The survivors know this. It's why their testimonies have been recorded, archived, preserved. It's why museums like the Hiroshima Peace Memorial exist, to ensure that when the last survivor is gone, the world doesn't forget. Standing in Hiroshima today, you see a modern city, buildings, businesses, parks, life. The city was rebuilt, but underneath the streets, if you dig, you still find melted glass and twisted metal. And at the Peace Memorial Park, the A-bomb dome stands as it was left on August 6, 1945, a skeleton of a building, preserved as a reminder. The Aioi Bridge, the aiming point, is still there. You can walk across it. The people of Hiroshima didn't just survive, they rebuilt. They became advocates for peace. They transformed their city into a symbol, not of destruction, but of the imperative to prevent it from ever happening again. Their survival wasn't just physical, it was a choice to live, to remember, to speak, to ensure the world understands the true cost of nuclear war. This was Hiroshima, August 6th, 1945. 140,000 dead by year's end. 200,000 survivors, marked forever. A city erased in seconds, and the people who lived through it determined that the world would never forget. Inside Hiroshima, 1945, the people who survived and the legacy they left behind.